The first time I saw him, he was writing in a notebook while watching a man drown. It happened at the pier on a Tuesday. Gray sky, choppy water, that particular smell of rust and rotting fish that clings to old harbors. The drowning man was a fisherman named Cole who'd had too much to drink and slipped on algae-slicked boards. By the time anyone noticed, he was already 30 yards out, arms flailing in the cold Atlantic. Everyone screamed. Someone ran for a life preserver, but the stranger just stood there on the dock's edge, pen moving steadily across paper, his expression one of fascinated patience, like a botanist observing a rare flower bloom. He was dressed wrong for the weather. Linen suit, no coat, leather shoes that would be ruined by the salt spray. Early 50s, silver hair, the kind of face that looked like it had been handsome before something hollowed it out from the inside. Cole went under, came up once, screaming something about his daughter's birthday, went under again. The stranger closed his notebook with a satisfied snap. Later, after they'd dragged the body out and the ambulance had left, I confronted him. I don't know why. Maybe because I was 23 and angry at everything. Maybe because his calm had felt like an insult to the dead. "What the hell were you writing?" He smiled. His teeth were too white, too even. His final words, 7 of them. "Tell her I kept the promise." Rather beautiful, don't you think? The compression of a life into a breath. That's sick. Is it? He opened the notebook. The pages were filled with handwriting, hundreds of entries, dates, locations. March 14, 2018, bus crash I-95. The light looked like honey. November 2nd, 2019, hospital room 304. She was wearing blue. I don't cause death, young man. I simply attend it. Someone should bear witness to the threshold. Someone should remember what we become when everything else is stripped away. I should have walked away. I should have reported him to the police, told him he was some kind of death-obsessed ghoul who stalked accidents. Instead, I asked, why? That was my mistake. That was the hook he was waiting for. He became my shadow after that. Not every day, but often enough that I started spotting him in crowds, the flash of silver hair at a 4-alarm fire downtown, the linen suit, always linen, always immaculate, at a car wreck on the interstate. He never took photos, never interfered, just wrote while lives ended around him. I learned his rules. He only recorded natural deaths, no suicides, no murders. Those are polluted, he explained once, as we stood outside a nursing home where an old woman was slipping away inside. The intention corrupts the purity. I want the accidental truth, what the soul says when it doesn't know it's being heard. That's insane. Souls aren't real. Then what do you think speaks in those final seconds? The brain is dying, oxygen gone, every system failing, yet the words are coherent, poetic often. Where does that come from if not somewhere that was waiting? I had no answer. I still don't. 6 months into our horrible friendship, he gave me a gift, a photocopied page from his notebook. The entry was dated 15 years before I was born. July 7th, 1964, apartment 4B, Brooklyn. The numbers were wrong. My mother's last words, he said. I was 7. She was a statistician. Breast cancer, very fast. I was holding her hand when she said it. The numbers were wrong. I didn't understand then. I thought she meant her diagnosis, her odds. But she was looking past me, at something behind my shoulder. He paused. For the first time, his composure cracked. Just a hairline fracture, but I saw it. I started collecting after that, to find someone else who saw, someone who could explain what she saw. Explain what? The audience. He leaned close. His breath smelled like iron and old books. We're never alone at the end. Haven't you noticed? The dying always look past us. They speak to something standing just behind. I've recorded 3,412 deaths, and in every single one, There's a moment of recognition, of address. Tell her, I'm sorry, the light. They're not talking to us. I laughed. It came out wrong, too high, hysterical. So what, you're building a case, collecting evidence of the afterlife? I'm building a map. He tapped his notebook. These aren't random phrases. They're coordinates, responses to a question I haven't learned to ask yet. And I'm close. I can feel it. The pattern is almost... He stopped. We were standing in a hospital corridor, room 417. Through the open door, I could see an elderly man connected to machines, his family gathered, the telltale flattening of the heart monitor's tone. The stranger's head snapped toward the room. He'd heard it too, the change in pitch that meant the end. He moved faster than I'd ever seen, notebook ready, pen poised. I followed, unable to stop myself, the way you can't stop watching a car crash. The old man's eyes were open, fixed on the ceiling. His lips moved. The stranger wrote frantically, his usual neat handwriting dissolving into scribbles. The family wept, the nurses worked, the flat line droned. Then the stranger dropped his pen. He was staring at the dead man's face, not with his usual clinical absorption, but with something like terror. He backed away, knocking over a chair, crushing his notebook against his chest. "What?" I grabbed his arm. "What did he say?" He looked at me, and I saw that his eyes were wet. In all the months I'd known him, through hundreds of deaths, he had never cried. "He said my name." He opened the notebook, showed me the entry written in shaking hand. "Tell Elias he was right about the numbers." Elias. His name was Elias. "He couldn't have known," Elias whispered. "I'd never met him, never been to this city before today. I came because the pattern led here, the coordinates in the words. I calculated myself into my own collection." The family was staring at us. I pulled him into the hallway, my hands shaking. "Coincidence, it has to be." 17 years. Elias was paging through his notebook with frantic speed, tearing corners, smudging ink. "I've been recording for 17 years. Do you know how many times my name appears in here? 0. Not once. Not until I started looking for the source. Not until I tried to see what they see." He grabbed my shoulders. His fingers dug in hard enough to bruise. What if they're not looking at something? What if they're looking for something? What if the last words aren't messages from the dying, but to them? Instructions, warnings. The name of the next witness passed like a baton, and I finally ran fast enough to catch it. "You're not making sense." "I'm making perfect sense." He laughed again, wilder now. "Don't you see? I've been studying the audience so long, I've become part of the show. The numbers were wrong all along. My mother wasn't saying her diagnosis failed. She was saying I would, that I'd miscalculate myself into..." He stopped. He looked past me. His face went slack with that same fascinated patience I'd seen at the pier, like a flower closing, like a light going out. "Oh," he said softly. "Oh, of course. It's behind you." I spun around. Nothing. Empty hallway, fluorescent lights, the smell of disinfectant. When I turned back, Elias was on his knees. His notebook had fallen open on the linoleum. The pen rolled slowly away, coming to rest against the baseboard. His eyes were fixed on a point somewhere over my left shoulder. He was smiling. "Tell her," he whispered. "Tell her I finally understand the numbers." Then he died. No cause, no warning. The autopsy said cardiac arrest, which is what they say when they don't know. I was holding his hand. I felt his pulse stop, felt the exact moment the electricity left him. I still have the notebook. I've read it cover to cover, searching for the pattern he found. Sometimes I think I see it, connections between words, dates that align in impossible ways, a network of last breaths stretching back decades, all pointing to something. Sometimes, late at night, I catch myself writing in a notebook of my own. I don't remember buying it. I don't remember starting, but the handwriting is mine,
and the entries are accurate. Dates, locations, last words. I'm up to 47. I tell myself it's research, that I'm continuing his work, solving the mystery he left behind, that I'm not becoming him, not being recruited by whatever system he uncovered. But last week, at a subway accident in Queens, I heard a woman say something as she bled out on the platform. I wrote it down, automatically, the way he'd taught me. The collector should look behind him. I didn't look. I haven't looked, not in all the months since he died, because I'm starting to understand what Elias meant about the audience, about how we're never alone at the end. And I'm starting to suspect that the notebook isn't a record of deaths. It's a guest list.